Arne Slot has begun life as Liverpool coach, and the team have already seemed to adopt to his new philosophy. That style is familiar to how teams such as City play, but it has elements of Jurgen Klopp's heavy metal football with the pressing as well. There are a lot of good players who've had a good pre-season, but Liverpool aren't at full squad strength quite yet, with some of their biggest names taking part in the Euro 2024 and Copa America 2024. It's exciting to see how players like MacAllister, Dominic, Szobolazai and Ryan Gravenberch and Cody Gakpo will fit into Slot's plans, especially now Liverpool are looking for a new midfielder. Will Liverpool continue to build and be up there with Arsenal and City for the 24-25 season, or will it be a period of transition for them? Well, time will tell. What we do know is that Slot is highly rated in the Dutch league, and there was a strong belief that he would soon be making his way to a bigger league. Dutch journalist Marcel van der Kraan had predicted that it was only a matter of time before a big Premier League club would swoop in for Slot. He even went further to compare Slot's style to that of Pep Guardiola. The journalist said, "He's been a successful coach and made the Feyenoord champions playing crazy, sexy football." It is sexy what this man brings to a football pitch. There's nothing more for him to win here. The next step for him is to enter a club in a big league. And no league is bigger for the Dutch than the Premier League. I'll be surprised if Slot doesn't bite at this chance and become the manager of Liverpool next season. So just as had been predicted, a big Premier League club did come knocking, and it was indeed Liverpool. Liverpool decided to hire Slot after a shock announcement from Jurgen Klopp that he'd be leaving the club at the end of the season. Klopp had helped restore Liverpool's pride, led them back to winning ways, scooping up a Premier League, Champions League, an FA Cup, 2 BFL Cups, the Community Shield, a UEFA Super Cup and a FIFA Club World Cup. He would have led them to win much more, sure, but he was competing against one man for most of his time at Liverpool, Pep Guardiola. Surely the Premier League would miss the brilliant games and attacking football between Klopp's Liverpool and Pep's City. But Slot will maintain the attacking standard that football fans and especially Liverpool fans have become attached to when they play City. Or maybe do you think the Liverpool and City fixture won't be the same again? Let us know. Slot has a reputation for devastating attacking football. While we'll get into his tactics later, Slot's desire to play an attacking game wasn't something he recently adopted. It's been there since he was a player. Slot played in the Netherlands all his life and had 460 appearances over an 18-year career. He was a decent footballer with nice passing range and vision. However, he did lack some pace and power, which didn't let him truly blossom and exploit his technical abilities to their full extent. Slot has always had the mind of a coach. According to his former teammate, Bram van Polen, Slot was too inquisitive for a footballer. He wasn't just receiving instructions from the coach, he asked questions to know details of the tactics the coach wanted to use. He learned as much as he could from the coaches he played under, and when he began his coaching career, he began to formulate his own style. After a year at Zwolle, Slot moved to Cambuur, where he became part of an interim managerial team when the club dismissed their coach in late 2016. Along with the other managers, Slot helped Cambuur climb from 13th to 3rd on the table. It wasn't all he and the other coaches did. What they did next made them legends. They led their team to the KNVB Cup semi-finals for the first time in the club's history. And guess what team they beat to achieve this? The great Ajax themselves. With that victory over Ajax, Slot was hooked. He wanted to coach. And when AZ Alkmaar came knocking, Slot didn't hesitate to join their coaching crew as an assistant manager. Then something happened. AZ Alkmaar let their coach go and Slot took over as the main coach for the 2019-20 campaign. He immediately transformed Alkmaar's fortunes. It was a miraculous display of football that the club produced, and Slot became their first manager to win 19 points in the club's 8 top-flight games. That run would see AZ reach second in the Dutch league table, only behind Ajax on goal difference. And then, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the season was put on hold and was eventually cancelled. There were only 9 matches to go before the cancellation, so maybe he would have won the league if the season hadn't been cancelled. What do you think, Dutch league fans? Then he was sacked, but not for the normal reasons. Unfortunately, Slot and AZ's story came to an end. In the 2020-21 season, what he achieved with AZ in the previous season brought him to the attention of Feyenoord, and Slot did something that Alkmaar found disappointing. He listened to Feyenoord's offer, planned to accept it, which was seen as a betrayal, hence the sacking. After that season ended, Slot took over as Feyenoord coach for the 21-22 season, and he did to them what Klopp did to Liverpool. Feyenoord had lost their highest goal scorer, Steven Berghuis, to Ajax. They used part of this fee to buy Gernot Trauner, Marcus Pedersen and Frederik Arsnes. The problem was that they were new guys and they'd need time to adapt to how Feyenoord played. But Slot was like Arsene Wenger. He was a teacher and managed to teach both the old and the new guys his style. And then Feyenoord became a devastating team, as Slot reminded Feyenoord of their winning heritage. He played a heavy pressing game that would make Klopp proud and even dominated outside the league. He had ruthlessly tore through teams in the Europa Conference League and only narrowly lost the trophy to Roma, who were coached by Jose Mourinho at the time. And then the next season, Slot paid the price of assembling such a ruthless team and ended up losing 7 starting players from his squad. Among the players he lost were Tyrell Malacia, who joined Manchester United, Luis Sinistera, who joined Leeds, and Marcos Senesi, who joined Bournemouth. Feyenoord had to buy to replace all of those that had left in the transfer window, and so Slot had to do it all over again for the 22-23 season, and he did. Feyenoord didn't play like a team that had lost 7 players and brought in a new set to replace them. They began the season brightly and had an inspiring campaign which saw them eventually clinch the Dutch league title. The season was great for Feyenoord. They'd won their first league title in 6 years and their second in 24. After one more year where he won the Dutch version of the FA Cup and Dutch Super Cup, it was time for Slot's big move. Now, Slot has gotten the biggest move of his career yet, and with how he loves to play, he might be the perfect fit for the Reds. However, he is filling some extremely large shoes of an extremely popular figure. Will he be able to replicate his tactics with Liverpool and win the support of the fans? From the pre-season, it looks like maybe he could. He's managed some decent results, despite the team missing some of their biggest stars. So with what we've seen so far, Slot is a mix of Pep and Klopp, but the hallmark of Slot's team is his pressing. When we don't have the ball, we want to win it back as quickly as possible by being aggressive and pressing to win back possession, Slot has said. See, when he joined Feyenoord as their head coach, he played clips of the 2021 Champions League final between Chelsea and Manchester City. Slot asked his players to determine why there were few chances in the game despite the attacking capabilities. He told them that the reason was because of the two teams pressing and counter-pressing. So Slot began to teach his players how to press intensely. This is something Liverpool players are already familiar with. Well, maybe except for one player who struggled with how Liverpool pressed when he first got to Liverpool. I'm speaking, of course, of Darwin Núñez. Núñez has a great work rate but couldn't put it to good use as he didn't understand pressing triggers. Núñez can be chaotic, and he charges at defences as he wishes, which has exposed Liverpool at times. He seems to now have a handle on pressing, and the good news is that Slot, for now, doesn't use pressing triggers, as he wants his players to move all day long. This suits Núñez, who Klopp himself has described as a racehorse, and also, naturally, Núñez is a disruptive striker. Now, admittedly, Darwin hasn't hit the incredible form he had when he was in Benfica, but he did show in the 23-24 season for Liverpool that he could certainly be the man to lead their next generation of stars. The striker could be Liverpool's next version of Suarez. Núñez is tall, athletic and fast. He has great dribbling ability and will be good for what Slot will want to achieve when he asks his attack to press. Núñez got 11 goals and 8 assists from 22 starts last season and will be looking to get near double-digit mark goals for this year again. We think he can do it with regular starts. What do you think? As we have seen during pre-season, Slot can set up his teams with a 4-2-3-1 structure or the 4-3-3 structure. Let's begin with his 4-2-3-1. Slot is fluid when he uses this formation. When he instructs his team to press with the formation, then it turns into a 4-4-2 press with the number 10 turning into a supporting striker hybrid. The intention of using two players to press is because Slot, as much as he wants his players to press, also prepares for when pressing doesn't yield the results that he wants. And that way, he has players left in the middle of the pitch that can prevent a counter. Usually, his teams are successful with their presses. When he was at Feyenoord, they had 93 final third tackles, which was top of the league. They also scored 11 times from high turnovers, more than anyone else in the Eredivisie or Premier League. So who are the players that can help lead his press? Well, Slot is spoiled for choice, and he has shown he can adapt to any situation. He's already experimenting with different players. As a striker, he's tried out winger Diogo Jota also in that false nine position, and also attacking midfielder Harvey Elliott. This could suit Elliott later on, as Liverpool are pretty much stacked in midfield. Elliott could play as the attacking midfielder that would press with a striker, or Cody Gakpo could play that role. Gakpo could be immense for Slot's pressing systems. The forward has gotten a new lease of life with his displays in the Euro 2024, when he was among the players to win a golden boot, and he'll benefit from Slot's system. He will also be able to play closer to the goal, where he will be much more dangerous. Also, if Gakpo plays behind a striker like Núñez in Slot's 4-2-3-1 formation, he can benefit from Núñez's dynamism. Núñez is a mobile striker and can drift wide due to his pace. This can allow Gakpo to enter into the box and have a few shooting attempts at the goalkeeper. Now, if Cody isn't available, or Slot decides to use him in the flanks like the Netherlands coach Ronald Koeman did during Euro 2024, Liverpool can also rely on Dominic Szobolazai in that attacking midfield position, as we have seen in pre-season. The good thing is that Szobolazai has now learned the ropes of the league, and he is now better suited to deal with the intensity. When the player first put on Liverpool colours, he drew oars from Liverpool fans. He showed that he was capable of playing Klopp's brand of attacking football, and Dominic instantly impressed Jurgen with his energy and urgency that he injected into the midfield. It was something Liverpool had missed in their midfield for a while, and that's why he became a starter for Liverpool, and things looked bright for him until he had a hamstring injury, which then kept him out of the team. Now, since that injury, he hasn't quite been the same player and couldn't match the standard that he set early on in the season. However, he will be looking to kick off from some of his stellar outings last season and become a key man for the Reds. Trey Nioni is another option for the attacking midfield role. Nioni can even play in the centre midfield or in the wings. However, the 17-year-old may not feature as much this season unless he plays mostly as a winger. Alexis MacAllister is another player that can play the attacking midfield role for Slot, but with MacAllister's ability to progress the ball, he might play in the double pivot role alongside Ryan Gravenberch or Curtis Jones. The double pivots are a crucial part of how Slot will play. There is the feeling that Slot could also go for another midfielder, and they have the Spanish holding midfielder Zubimendi in their sights, but have since had their proposal rejected by the player. Signing Zubimendi makes sense, especially if Slot will lean towards the 4-3-3. Now, if Liverpool don't manage to sign him, they will have to be content with the services of Stefan Bajcetic, who is also a defensive midfielder. We'll go over how 4-3-3 could work for Liverpool later on, but there really isn't much difference to the underlying tactics. They actually are quite similar. Whether 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, the pivots are crucial to Slot's preference to build from the back. Slot likes his centre-backs to be confident on the ball. While Joel Matip will be leaving the club, Liverpool have Ibrahima Konate, who is incredibly brilliant on the ball. And we would like to say they have Virgil van Dijk, but the veteran defender is still not committing his future to Liverpool just yet. There is the feeling that Slot would be able to convince him, but even if he doesn't, Liverpool will not be buying a new defender. At least, as of the time of this recording. They seem to want to go all in and bet on their highly rated youngster, Jarell Quansah. Quansah enjoyed a breakthrough 23-24 season. He proved reliable when called upon and managed 28 appearances for the Reds. He put up some interesting performances that earned him an inclusion in England's provisional squad for the Euro 2024, although he didn't eventually make the tournament. Quansah is viewed as the successor to Virgil van Dijk due to some similarities in how they play. Despite being a relatively new addition to the senior team, he has displayed a commanding presence in the box and an air of calm that usually belongs to veterans of the game. The young defender also has immense quality on the ball and is quick in closing down space and opponents. Apart from him, Liverpool also have the versatile Joe Gomez, who currently doesn't see himself playing for another club except the Reds. The versatile defender is also a great fit for how Slot would want to play, as he possesses both the physical and technical quality that would elevate Slot's system. Liverpool also have Dutch centre-back Sepp van der Berg, who has featured heavily in pre-season. The defender, who had a successful loan at Mainz, is looking for more game time, and if Van Dijk should leave, he'll surely get it. Van den Berg is highly rated, with Mainz and PSV interested in his signature. Will he stay or will he go? Well, that remains to be seen. But Slot is open to working with Van den Berg. With the technical ability of his centre-backs assured, Slot's system of bringing his pivots close to the centre-backs for build-up will be in full flow. Also, Slot has grown to invert a fullback, which turns his back four to three. And when it comes to fullbacks inverting, Slot's in the right club. Already Liverpool have probably two of the best wingbacks in the world in their talismanic right back Trent Alexander-Arnold and the ever-reliable Andy Robertson. Originally, the former England coach Gareth Southgate tried Trent in midfield before Klopp evolved that into an inverted fullback role, so Trent could add extra numbers to the midfield and also be able to fully use his vision and the passes he has in his locker. Trent had an unfortunate experience as Declan Rice's midfield partner in the Euros, as Southgate's midfield experiment sort of blew up in his face. However, he has gained more experience for what Slot would like to try. So far, already in the Premier League, Trent has had 58 assists in 226 appearances, and he could see a reduction under Slot as he wouldn't be whipping in as many crosses, but even if he inverts, Trent also wouldn't be able to try those beautiful diagonal balls as much either. Now, when he was at Feyenoord, Slot went less direct and was one of the teams with the lowest long passes. Fans might also see a reduction in long passes from one side of the pitch to the other, or diagonals as they're popularly called, diags. In the Dutch league, his Feyenoord had the lowest diagonal switches in the league. Slot has another fullback he can invert in Conor Bradley, who has featured in 3 of Liverpool's pre-season matches. Bradley has physically improved himself and he looks fitter than when he made his debut season for Liverpool in the 23-24 campaign. In that season, Bradley had 3 assists in 7 matches, 2 of which came against Chelsea, and when Liverpool beat them 4-1 in a ruthless display of tactical superiority. The young fullback also scored his first goal for Liverpool in that match. The fullback has shown the kind of fearlessness and agility that will have Slot licking his lips. And there's also Kostas Tsimikas, who can be good cover for Robertson down the left flank. The inverted fullback adds to the number of players in the midfield. Now this is to prevent Slot's team from being light in the midfield, as his style requires one of the pivots to stay while the other one moves forward as an extra attacker. See why we said MacAllister would be great as one of the pivots. He has the energy to make those forward runs and get into the box alongside the other attacking players like Gakpo, Elliott and more. When Slot doesn't invert, his wingbacks push high and stay wide. This is something the wingbacks we've mentioned earlier can easily do. They both can be rampaging along the flanks or inverting inside. When the fullbacks are wide, Slot would then let his wingers move in field. This is Mohamed Salah's bread and butter. And now that he seems to be staying put and seeing out his contract, Slot could have an easier season with a veteran like Salah around. Although now Salah is leaning towards the role of a traditional winger as he focuses on staying wider and creating. During the era of the trio of Salah, Mane and Firmino, Salah operated as an inside forward for the most part, and during the peak of their powers as a trio, Firmino dropped deep to allow Mane and Salah to cut inside and act as forwards. The same could play out with the current wingers that Liverpool have. While Diogo Jota is a candidate for the false nine position, he is primarily a left winger for Liverpool and has been in amazing form for them, even with his fitness problems. He scored 10 goals in 21 appearances. Luis Diaz, who excels at dribbling and will be great for Liverpool both at cutting and stretching the play, would be another perfect option for them to consider. Diaz would thrive under Slot as he likes his players to be able to attempt dribbles. Unfortunately, the problem with Diaz and Jota is their fitness issues, and this could work to the advantage of Liverpool's newest sensation, Trey Nioni. Now, from what Nioni has shown Liverpool during pre-season, he's definitely one to watch. The player has shown his dribbling ability and his eye for passes. Ordinarily, a loan would be the best for him at this stage of his career. But with how Liverpool have been cautious in the 24-25 transfer window so far, they might just want to hold on to him. If Slot should play a 4-3-3, the tactical instructions will still be the same. The emphasis will still be to press. In his 3 seasons at Feyenoord, they were either the second or third lowest passes per defensive action, which is a metric that shows the high number of presses that his teams make. In the 23-24 season, Feyenoord had the second lowest passes per defensive action of 10.1 in the Dutch league. And that data, imported in the Premier League, puts him among the 4 teams with the lowest passes per defensive action. In pre-season, Slot has asserted himself in the team, which isn't surprising considering his reputation has been that of someone who's able to easily transmit ideas. However, Slot might need to alter his style, just as Klopp and Guardiola did, to keep up with the pace of the Premier League.